culture in general, but comedy specifically, I think is a gateway, and the research shows that it is a gateway to reach more people.
Michael Jordan famously said, well, Republicans and Democrats buy sneakers, when he first was a spokesman for Nike.
And look at Nike now.
Right. Well, there seems to have been a change in that
Absolutely.
attitude. Whether it's the far edgier and more overtly political programming, topical programming of Comedy Central, many other examples that you can find where now properties of major communications companies feel comfortable saying, all right, we're going to let our entertainers and artists be themselves, say what's on their minds, advocate for causes, so on. How do you understand that change?
Yeah,
That was a big change.
I'm glad you asked this question. There's a palpable shift towards values-based work being done. And the example of Michael Jordan and Nike, fast forward to, just the last year, and Nike taking a meaningful stand about race in our country with Colin Kaepernick, just shows that shift in a really visible way. But I think it's also because the consumers want it. And there's a dance of who's leading who. And I think in some moments the consumers are leading us, and in other moments we can lead too, to show that a company is a collection of people. And so we have heart and values as well. And I think that the consumers, and studies show that particularly younger consumers there's more brand affinity for brands that mean something, and not just, the selling of widgets or the selling of content. I believe that younger consumers will line up to make purchases or spend their time watching content that has heart, that is coming from an entity that means something.
Is it also that the audience has been broken up into many smaller pieces, into more discrete pieces that allow a company like Viacom to allow Comedy Central to show a little bit more leg, if you will? CBS, a generation ago, 2 generations ago, was showing Green Acres and Petticoat Junction, and very studiously not taking stands. When the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour stepped out of line, they got slapped down pretty good by the standards and practices people. But the audience is very different. There's no network that commands 40% of the vast American audience anymore.
Absolutely. Everything is changing. Media has been disrupted. And so I think you see that in our willingness to let the audience lead. And, the digital age, as we're all adapting to and living in, and young people today aren't even cord cutters because they never had a cord to begin with. So it's exciting to see where they are and how we can meet them. We want to create content that meets the audience where they are and that drives a cultural conversation around the issues that we care about. But I think, to speak to your examples, there's also the tradition of Norman Lear. And from the same era, All in the Family, and another time when Americans were divided across many issues, the war, race, gender. The narrative part of comedy is also a really effective tool to express ideas. And it's not the same as the biting political satire or the stand-up comedy that is also effective in its own way, but I think we should think more expansively about comedy as not just The Daily Show, which I love, but also the shows that are communicating important messages about who we are and who we want to be.
What's possible now in a 500 channel universe where more and more of your consumers are even watching on 2.5 and 3-inch screens?
Yeah, and only for 2 or 3 minutes at a time. I actually think that's really exciting in that there isn't a one way how to do it, and we are experimenting and creating new ways to reach people. And in fact, the the digital age is giving us an opportunity to create more snackable content, short form. It also happens to be a lot less expensive than, some of the episodic television we see can cost millions of dollars per episode to produce. And what we find on YouTube, because there are so many self-creators, we can create too, and do it with the best writing and great production value because it's what we do, and create more of it and see what works. Speak to our audience with important messages and learn from that and keep creating comedy for social change that's effective.
You create a community of interested and like-minded people. The old idea was not turning anybody away. Is there a risk, an implicit risk, an embedded risk, in taking bold stands on issues of current controversy in any society, where the person who says, well, I want to have a laugh, and I like this or that program, but if they stand for X and I don't stand for that, I'm going to go somewhere else?
I think that's why we have to be strategic about what issues we decide to put our flag out on. I agree. I think our audience comes to us for the comic relief in their life, to find a laugh. And we are going to continue to deliver super funny, personally relatable, culturally relevant content. But also, I think in the spaces that we've defined we care about, we want to go a step further. So it shouldn't feel like we're beating people over the head or turning Comedy Central into an after-school special. But I am certain that the comedic talent at this network will be able to find a way to still be just as funny and move people towards different understandings, and then up a ladder of engagement towards taking action when necessary. And it cannot be an everyday thing. It needs to be really thoughtful and with a mind towards the underlying humanitarian concern that is at the base of, I think, all of the what you might call political issues.
But the digital world has created a feeling among the customers that they can be heard on a wide range of things, whether they just liked it or not, but also respond to the messages that are being sent in ways that are so different from what it was in the 70s, where if you sat down and wrote a letter, you didn't always feel that somebody important was going to read it.
Yeah. I think that's really exciting. One of the first projects that I worked on at Comedy Central, because I started just ahead of the midterms, was a voter engagement campaign. So we created a piece of content that mocked the preponderance of celebrity PSAs encouraging people to go vote. So we did a mock the vote, where we had actors, nobody that you would recognize, playing regular people, asking the questions of, does Lady Gaga think I should vote? Does Michael Jordan think I should vote? Just naming a bunch of people, well-known celebrities. Of course they think you should vote. But we ended that PSA with the hashtag should we vote, and we invited our viewers to use the hashtag should we vote on Twitter, and they did, and they tagged their favorite celebrity with hashtag should we vote, and many of those celebrities played along. So when a fan of Amy Schumer says, hey, at Amy Schumer, hashtag should we vote, she responded and said, yeah, of course you should vote. She did it in a much more hilarious way. But there were many examples of brands and celebrities who played along in this new way of engaging with our audience. I am hopeful that the work that I do will only grow our audience. The intent is not to turn people away, but it's to keep them and to engage them in a way that's different than we've been doing before, which is often, comedy is critique our comedy as commentary. I think that we can do the comedy that's not just for laughs. That is, yes, it is funny and it can help create positive change.